No.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Kiana. I'm a senior studying public relations and advertising, and I'm 22. I know AJ because we met last May at Chicago Maymaster through Annenberg, and it was one of the greatest experiences ever, and we bonded and chatted every day and kept in touch since then. Our friendship feels like one of those friendships that you've known each other for a long time. I feel like me and AJ, we just get each other. We've always got each other off the bat, and he makes me feel very comfortable. He also drives me around because I don't have a car, which is nice. I think we both feed off each other's like different energy. Like AJ's, if you guys know him, he's very introverted. I'm very extroverted, and in some ways I like to give him the space to talk, and he gives me the space to talk, and it just works. And we're twin flames.
Type.
So yeah. Cool.
Okay, now getting into everything. Right now, since you're at a very exploration stage, what's one lesson you're learning right now in your 20s so far that you never expected to learn or understand?
I think I'm learning to be alone a lot. How do I phrase? I don't remember how I phrase this. Okay, as a very extroverted person, I've always been really afraid to be alone, or I thought being alone kind of made me like lame or like boring, or I would just be bored being alone. But I realized that investing in myself and investing in my own energy and time and just being by myself can help me learn a lot more than being with other people. So the lesson I've learned is definitely how to be alone and how to make that more beneficial than feeling lonely or feeling anxious about being alone, and instead just embracing it and being grateful that I can be alone before we enter like this crazy period of working all the time and 9 to 5s and 5 to 9s, and yeah, just enjoying being a student and getting to live in California by myself.
Going off of that, so what does home feel like to you right now? Is it a place, a person, or something else entirely? And how are you building a home right now? Especially because you're moving soon.
Home to me is, I've learned, anything that I make of it. I've become my own comfort person, especially moving across the country from my family to be here in California. And I've learned that I can build my home through the community and the company that I keep, through the activities that I want to do, whether that be like coming to the beach here with AJ or just eating my food and watching my show on my iPad. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do, and that's definitely a big part of how I make myself feel at home no matter where I am. So home is all of those things. Home is the people that are around me. Home is the environment that I've created, and home is within myself. And I feel confident that moving to Japan, slowly but surely, I can build my home. Hopefully with lots of good friends, but if not, I'm learning to accept that as long as I'm happy and like feel comfortable and safe, which Japan is much safer than the US, so I'm sure that'll be fine, I can create my home.
And was moving to Japan part of your initial or original plan post-grad? And if not, how did that opportunity come to you? And if that is something new, how are you dealing with that uncertainty?
Loaded question. My original plan was to work in New York City because I'm from New Jersey and it's just a river away. And I interned at a place in New York City that I really fell in love with, that I thought I'd return to post-grad. But when life gives you lemons, my partner is getting stationed in Japan, and at first it was really difficult to try to decide if I should go the untraditional route and move to this foreign country that I've never been to, or just continue my career as USC students do. But I realized that I really wanted to build my global perspective as someone who hasn't traveled much and hasn't really had the opportunity to travel until now, because YOLO, and we're in our 20s. Everyone says to to live your life to the fullest in your 20s. You reach peak health at 25, and after that you start deteriorating. And I always think about that, how I want to live my best life. And I think that this opportunity sort of fell in my lap as someone lucky enough to be with someone in the military who has these benefits and can take me with them. And also just feeling like being at the right place at the right time. Also getting the opportunity to study at USC and have that education and degree to back me. I know that no matter where I end up, I can work it out and I can do it for me. So the way I'm dealing with the uncertainty is just being confident in my abilities and how far they brought me thus far, and moving forward with that and keeping faith.
Since moving to Japan, what has been your favorite part about it? And why do you think some of those specific experiences stand out to you?
My favorite part about Japan might be a little superficial, or maybe not like as cultural as like maybe people suspect, but it's very cheap in Japan. And although money doesn't buy happiness, it has definitely improved my quality of life coming from a place like Los Angeles. And it felt really good to be able to eat the things that I wanted or participate in the activities that I wanted and drive around in a car and use the public transportation. And just things like that have made life so much more accessible than living in Los Angeles. So definitely, even though like the economy is lower there and like that's the reason why, it has definitely just been helpful for someone in their 20s trying to figure out life, and has brought down the barrier to a lot of experiences that I wish I could have done in Los Angeles, but I can now do there.
And then was there a moment in Japan that felt like a turning point for you in your life? Or was there any moments where you saw the world or yourself completely different?
I think the moment reality hit me that I was moving was getting my Japanese driver's license. They drive on the right side over there, so metaphorically and physically, it really felt like my hands were taking the wheel, and like this whole time I've been driving on the left side and now I'm driving on the right, and it just felt really momentous and sort of wonderful, like having this change and making it so real, like me driving on the right and me following the traffic signs of like a completely different life. It kind of felt like an alternate universe in some ways, but it also just felt right. So that was probably the biggest turning point that I've reached, and the biggest reality check that I've had since.
And then now looking ahead, what's something you're excited about or nervous about as you continue to navigate your 20s?
I'm definitely nervous about securing a job both there and when I come back to the US eventually, because at the end of the day, like that's how you can sustain living like the quality of life that I would want. And since this path is so untraditional and I didn't really know anyone who has gone to USC and then like moved to a military base after, and it's really scary to enter a path that hasn't been walked or only has been walked by a few people. I think to combat like that uncertainty, I would have to research and hopefully find people that maybe have or have been closely aligned to this path and learn from their journeys, and hopefully get some valuable advice along the way that will help me.
And then last two questions, one of them being is, if you could tell your younger self one thing before heading into your 20s, what would it be?
I would tell her... What did I tell her? Oh, I remember. Okay. I've always lived my life in a sort of delusional way with not rose-tinted glasses, but always imagining the best possible outcome over the worst possible outcome. And in some ways, that's hurt my expectations, especially when they haven't been met. But in other ways, it's made me not afraid to fail and to go for it, because I know what the best possible outcome could be, and I know that the best possible outcomes do happen. So I would just tell her to continue living life sort of delusionally like that, because it's better than being afraid of what could happen or constantly thinking negatively of the worst thing that could happen and preparing for that. So instead of telling her to prepare for failure or to persevere and to like keep going when things fail, I would just tell her keep going, because success is always going to bring you far. Failures will always teach you something, and it's easier to move on from things if you think that, like, the most mid outcome is the best possible outcome, if that makes sense. Like, I always try to think of positive things that happen in my life. Okay, this is hard to explain. You can cut this, AJ. But, like, basically, like, today, AJ asked me to do this interview. I had just come back from Japan, and I was, like, a little jet lagged. But then once I flipped my perspective, like, oh, I can go to the beach with one of my closest friends for the last times in the next 5 weeks. I was like, fuck yeah, like, I need to do this. And now, like, I'm at the beach in California, and it's a beautiful day, and we're doing this interview where I get to reflect about my life, and I just feel so lucky. So, sort of like that.
And then last question is, what would you title this chapter in your life?
Oh my gosh, this feels so
Stuck
final.
In your 20-something. And then let's go after this, because I forgot I have a parking meter.
Okay. I would tell her, or no, what am I saying? I would chapter this part of my life, literally just the word perseverance. I know it's going to be hard and weird, and there's going to be so many things that I have to face that maybe I didn't expect or don't know how to prepare for. But I'm ready to persevere. I just got, like, a koi fish tattoo in Japan that, like, really represented my self-assurance and perseverance. So that's the title of my next chapter. Hopefully you can follow along. Follow me on Instagram at Kiana.Ong.
Plug. Good job.
Thank you.